There's a system of bacteria living in your gut right now that's controlling how much estrogen circulates in your body. If you're a man with low testosterone, this system is probably part of why. If you're a woman with heavy periods, PMS, fibroids, or estrogen dominant symptoms, same system. Same mechanism, two different downstream stories, and almost no one is teaching it. Today, I'm walking you through the complete mechanism, how estrogen is supposed to leave your body, how specific gut bacteria intercept the disposal and send it back into circulation, why this causes low testosterone in men and estrogen dominant symptoms in women, and what to actually do about it. Everything I claim is documented. Peer-reviewed studies are all linked in the description. Quick personal context first. In my most recent labs, my total testosterone was 537, which is squarely in the normal range. Most doctors would look at that and tell me I'm fine. But my free testosterone, the part my body can actually use, came back at 13.2, which is the bottom third of the range. My estradiol, that's estrogen, came back at 36.8, upper third of the male range. And my sex hormone binding globulin, the protein that binds testosterone up, was 48.3, top end of the range. That pattern, normal total T, low free T, high estradiol, high SHBG, is exactly what the mechanism we're about to walk through predicts. My testosterone production isn't broken, my gut is, and the rest of this video is the why. Both men and women produce estrogen. In women, it's mostly from the ovaries. In men, it's mostly from conversion of testosterone in fat tissue. We'll come back to that. Estrogen does its work in the body, regulating bone, brain, cardiovascular function, reproductive tissue, and then needs to be cleared. Your liver handles this. The liver tags the estrogen molecule with something called a glucuronic acid group. This is a disposal tag. It marks the estrogen as used and makes it water soluble so the body can excrete it. The tagged estrogen, now called an estrogen glucuronide, gets sent into the bile. The bile dumps it into the small intestine where it should travel down through the gut and out in the stool. That's a normal disposal pathway. But here's where it goes wrong. Certain bacteria in your gut produce an enzyme called beta-glucuronidase. The collection of bacterial genes that produce this enzyme has a name called the estrobolome. The term was formalized in the peer-reviewed literature in 2011, characterized in a major 2017 review in the journal Maturitas. Beta-glucuronidase does one specific thing. It cleaves the glucuronic acid tag off the estrogen molecule. When that tag comes off, the estrogen becomes biologically active again, and because it's no longer water-soluble, it doesn't get excreted. Instead, it gets reabsorbed through the intestinal wall back into the bloodstream. The estrogen your liver tried to dispose of is now back in your blood, active, doing biological work all over again. It's a recycling loop the body wasn't supposed to have running at scale. This is called enterohepatic recirculation. And depending on the composition of your gut bacteria, it can dramatically change how much estrogen is circulating in your body at any given time. The 2019 Journal of Biological Chemistry study characterized 35 different gut microbial beta-glucuronidase enzymes and confirmed that they reactivate estrogens. Now here's the part that matters most. The estrobolome doesn't have a single correct setting. It's a balance. When your gut bacteria are diverse and balanced, beta-glucuronidase activity stays moderate. Only a small percentage of estrogen gets recycled. That system works as designed. When your gut bacteria are dysregulated, too few keystone species, too many opportunistic species like E. coli, Klebsiella, low overall microbial diversity, beta-glucuronidase activity often becomes elevated. More enzyme, more deconjugation, more estrogen escaping disposal, and going back into your bloodstream. So what drives dysbiosis? Long-term antibiotic use, low-fiber diet, chronic alcohol, chronic stress, long-term acid-suppressing medications, constipation, where estrogen sits in the gut longer when transit time is slow, giving the enzyme more time to work, and obesity, which compounds the problem in a way I'll show you in just a minute. Here's where the downstream story splits by sex. We'll do men first, women next. If you're a man with excess circulating estrogen, two things start happening. Thing one, high estrogen feeds back to your brain, specifically the hypothalamus and pituitary, the control center that tells your testes to make testosterone. The brain reads elevated estrogen as a signal that testosterone production is high enough because estrogen is downstream of testosterone in the normal pathway. So it downregulates luteinizing hormone, or LH, and follicular stimulating hormone, FSH, the signals that tell the testes to produce testosterone. Less LH means less testosterone production at the source. This is documented in the literature as hypogonatropic hypogonadism, and a 2020 Frontiers Endocrinology study found that the prevalence of hypogonadism in obese men ranges from 29.3 to 78.8%. Thing 2, there's an enzyme called aromatase. It's highly expressed in adipose tissue or body fat. Aromatase does the opposite of what your testes do. It converts testosterone into estrogen. So the more body fat you have, the more aromatase you have. The more aromatase, the more testosterone gets converted away from your usable pool and turned into more estrogen. And here's the doom loop. The more estrogen circulating, the more aromatase activity gets upregulated. The more upregulated, the more testosterone gets converted. The more conversion, the more estrogen. The loop feeds itself. So a man with this pattern has normal total testosterone on paper. He's still producing testosterone, but has low free testosterone in practice. The SHBG is binding it up. With elevated estradiol, the gut is recycling it. And classic low T symptoms, fatigue, low libido, brain fog, soft body composition, low motivation, without any actual pathology in the testes themselves. The problem isn't his testosterone production. The problem is his gut and his fat, and the loop between them. If you're a woman, the same mechanism causes a different downstream story. Your body produces a lot more estrogen than a man's does. Your liver has more to clear. So when the estrobolome is dysregulated and recycling is amplified, the increase in circulating estrogen burden hits a system that's already working at higher hormonal volumes. The result is what's clinically known as estrogen dominance. And the issue here isn't always about absolute estrogen levels on a single lab draw. It's about the ratio of estrogen to progesterone and the bioactivity of all that recycled active estrogen over time. The documented downstream conditions associated with estrobolome dysregulation in women include endometriosis, heavy and painful periods, PMS that's worse than it should be, fibroids, and abnormal endometrial growth. Hormonal weight gain, especially in hips, thighs, and abdomen, breast tenderness, and fibrocystic changes, PCOS, which is a little more complex, but gut dysbiosis is implicated. A 2025 systematic review in BMC Women's Health confirmed what clinicians have been observing. Gut dysbiosis and estrobolome alterations are linked to endometriosis pathogenesis. And endometriosis affects 10% of reproductive age women globally. The same mechanism as the men's pathway, same recycling enzyme, the symptoms just present differently because the hormonal infrastructure is different. The gut is upstream of both stories. So what do you actually do with this information? 4 steps in order. Step 1, test, don't guess. Run a GI map. That's a gut test, and a full hormone panel at the same time. For men, that's testosterone, SHBG, estradiol. For women, that's a comprehensive cycle panel. The 2 tests together tell the story. Either alone tells you nothing. Step 2, identify dysbiosis markers. The most direct one is elevated beta-glucuronidase activity on your GI map. Also look for low keystone bacteria, Akkermansia, F. prosnitzi, and gram-negative overgrowths like Klebsiella, Morganella, and Pseudomonas. The pattern matters more than any single marker. Step 3, fix upstream, not downstream. Most TRT clinics will treat the testosterone number. Most gynecologists will treat the period symptoms. The estrobolome model says address the gut first. Retest in 60 to 90 days and watch the hormones move on their own. Here's some supplements that support estrogen clearance: calcium D-glucarate, DIM, and sulforaphane. Fiber and resistant starch lower beta-glucuronidase activity. Address bacterial overgrowths with practitioner-supervised antimicrobials. Step 4, and this matters for both sexes. If body fat is elevated, weight loss is non-negotiable. Not for vanity, because adipose tissue is its own aromatase factory. Until that's reduced, you're fighting the same battle on 2 fronts. Here's 3 quick questions I always get. 1, for men, how do I know if I'm actually producing enough testosterone effectively? Always start with testing. If your LH and FSH are normal and your testosterone's low, the suppression is happening upstream in the gut. If LH and FSH are elevated and your testosterone is still low, your testes themselves aren't responding well. The pattern matters, so don't assume. 2, can probiotics fix this? Not on their own. Some lactobacillus strains have been shown to reduce beta-glucuronidase activity, but the underlying dysbiosis is usually more complex than a single strain can address. Fiber, polyphenols, and removing the drivers, antibiotics, processed foods, alcohol, usually matter more than supplementation. 3. Why doesn't my doctor know about this? The estrobolome was formalized as a term in 2011. The major reviews came in 2017. Most physicians trained more than 5 years ago just weren't taught it. It's just lag. You may need to bring the science to them. If you take one thing from this video, take this. Your gut isn't just digesting food, it's regulating your hormones. And when it's dysregulated, the downstream effects look like a hormone problem when they're actually a gut problem. If you want to start asking the right questions about your own labs, I made a free guide, the 4 labs I'd run on every man over 30. 3 of them your doctor probably won't order. The link's in the description. We're on a mission to help 1 million people get off symptom managing medications. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, the mechanisms underneath the symptoms, and how to start healing from the root cause. Gut first, everything else follows.